architecture that needed advanced engineering knowledge. What makes this appearance especially confusing is the absence of clear steps of growth. Most civilizations leave behind archaeological evidence showing slow technological and social progress. Crude pottery slowly becomes refined ceramics. Simple homes slowly become complex buildings. Basic tools slowly become advanced tools. The Sumerian record shows none of this expected progress. The earliest artifacts show a level of skill and technical knowledge that suggests they inherited their abilities instead of developing them. The Sumerians showed an understanding of math that included the BASC 60 number system we still use today for measuring time and angles. They had knowledge of advanced metallurgy, making bronze alloys with exact ratios that modern metallurgists recognize as best for strength and durability. Their astronomical observations are remarkably accurate, tracking movements in the sky with precision that let them create calendars and predict eclipses. Sumerian astronomical texts describe the precession of the equinoxes, a 2,600-year cycle that requires centuries of careful observation to notice. Their city planning included ideas that would not show up again in human civilization for thousands of years. The city of Uruk, dating to about 3200 BC, covered nearly 1,000 acres and held an estimated 50,000 people. The city had clear residential, commercial, and religious districts connected by a network of canals that served both transportation and sanitation. The engineering needed to maintain these waterways, including locks, dams, and drainage systems, shows hydraulic knowledge that matches modern civil engineering principles. Perhaps most interesting of all, Sumerian cuneiform tablets contain detailed descriptions of surgical procedures, including brain surgery and removing cataracts. Medical texts describe using specific plants and minerals to treat different illnesses, showing a sophisticated understanding of pharmacology. Some tablets mention surgical instruments made from bronze and obsidian that match tools used in modern medical procedures. The Sumerian king list, preserved on multiple tablets from different periods, presents one of history's most confusing timeline puzzles. This ancient document records the reigns of Sumerian rulers, dividing them into two clear categories: those who ruled before the Great Flood and those who came after. The antediluvian kings are said to have ruled for incredibly long times, with some lasting tens of thousands of years. The tablet says that after kingship came down from heaven, kingship was in Eridu. In Eridu, Alulim became king. He ruled for 28,800 years. The list continues with similar and possibly long reigns. Alalgar ruled for 36,000 years. In Meluana for 43,200 years, and in Mingalana for 28,800 years. 8 kings total are listed as ruling before the flood, with their combined reigns totaling 241,200 years. After the flood, the king list notes a dramatic change. After the flood had swept over and kingship had descended from heaven, kingship was in Kish. The post-flood rulers are credited with more reasonable lifespans, though still extraordinary by modern standards. Etana of Kish ruled for 1,560 years, while Meskiag-Ashur of Uruk ruled for 324 years. Traditional scholars dismiss these long reigns as myth exaggeration or symbolic descriptions of dynasties rather than single rulers. However, this explanation does not account for the precision of these numbers and how consistently they appear across multiple independent sources. The math relationships between these figures suggest a sophisticated understanding of larger-scale time cycles rather than random myth invention. The numbers themselves show interesting patterns. The antediluvian reigns are all multiples of 3,600, a number the Sumerians called Asar. This base unit appears throughout Sumerian math and astronomy, suggesting these were not random figures, but calculated periods based on specific time measurements. The precision of these calculations implies the Sumerians had knowledge of long-term astronomical cycles that modern science has only recently rediscovered. Archaeological evidence from different Mesopotamian sites supports the idea that advanced pre-flood civilizations existed. Excavations at Tel Asalwin have revealed sophisticated pottery and architectural remains dating to 6000 BC, older than the earliest Sumerian cities by over 2 millennia. These artifacts show technical skill that suggests continuous cultural development rather than a sudden appearance. The site of Göbekli Tepe in modern Turkey, dating to about 9600 BC, shows even more dramatic evidence of advanced prehistoric civilizations. The massive stone structures with precisely carved reliefs and astronomical alignments required organization and technical knowledge that challenge normal timelines of human development. The deliberate burial of this site around 8000 BC suggests a conscious decision to preserve knowledge for future discovery. Sumerian cuneiform tablets contain many references to the Anunnaki beings described as those who from heaven to earth came. These texts present the Anunnaki not as mythical gods, but as physical beings who played direct roles in the development of human civilization. The tablets describe their arrival, their building of cities, and their interactions with early humans in matter-of-fact language that sounds more like history than religious myth. The Sumerian text known as the Eridu Genesis describes how the Anunnaki built the first cities and taught humans the skills of civilization. According to these accounts, the Anunnaki gave instruction in agriculture, metallurgy, astronomy, and governance. They are credited with introducing the idea of kingship and building the temple system that became central to Mesopotamian society. Detailed descriptions of the Anunnaki appear throughout Sumerian literature, including physical features and specific roles within their society. Enki, described as the god of wisdom and water, is credited with developing irrigation systems and teaching humans about medicine and magic. Enlil, the god of air and storms, is linked with agriculture and the founding of cities. Anu, the sky god, is described as the leader of the Anunnaki Council. These beings are consistently shown as having advanced technology, including flying vehicles called divine boats and whirlwind chariots. The tablets describe these craft in technical detail, including their ability to travel between earth and sky, and their use of brilliant fire for propulsion. Descriptions like these, written thousands of years before aviation, suggest either remarkable foresight or direct observation of advanced technology. Archaeological digs at Sumerian sites have uncovered artifacts that support the historical reality of these accounts. At the ancient city of Mary, archaeologists found tablets describing advanced metallurgical techniques credited to Anunnaki instruction. These texts include formulas for making alloys and descriptions of smelting processes that would not be rediscovered until the modern industrial age. The site of Nippur has produced thousands of cuneiform tablets, many with detailed astronomical observations and mathematical calculations. These texts describe the movements of celestial bodies with accuracy that would require advanced observing tools. Some tablets mention the use of divine measuring rods and celestial observation chambers that allowed precise astronomical measurements. Comparing Sumerian creation myths with those of other ancient cultures reveals strong similarities that suggest shared origins, rather than separate development. The Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic based on earlier Sumerian sources, describes cosmic disasters and renewal cycles that match stories found in cultures worldwide. The Enuma Elish begins with primordial chaos shown by the waters of Asu and Tiamat. From this chaos came the first gods, who later fight a cosmic war that ends in the destruction and recreation of the world. The epic describes Marduk's battle with Tiamat, during which she splits her body to create heaven and earth. This cosmic restructuring is shown not as a one-time event, but as part of repeating cycles of destruction and renewal. Similar themes appear in the Hindu idea of cosmic cycles, where the universe goes through repeated periods of creation, preservation, and destruction lasting millions of years. The Puranas describe multiple earlier worlds that were destroyed and recreated, each filled with different forms of life. The precision used to calculate these cycles, including the current Kali Yuga lasting 432,000 years, mirrors the mathematical sophistication found in Sumerian timelines. Norse mythology presents the idea of Ragnarok, a repeating destruction and renewal of the world. The Voluspa describes the death of gods and the burning of the world tree Yggdrasil, followed by a new world where surviving gods and humans live. This repeating worldview appears across Indo-European cultures, suggesting ancient knowledge of recurring global disasters. The Enuma Elish includes specific references to astronomical events that modern science recognizes as real phenomena. The text describes disruption of planetary orbits, the appearance of new celestial bodies, and changes in the length of the year. These descriptions match current theories about solar system instability and the possibility of periodic catastrophic events caused by massive objects passing near Earth. Recent astronomical researchers have found evidence of periodic comet showers and asteroid impacts that could explain the repeating catastrophes described in ancient texts. The discovery of the Younger Dryas impact event, which happened about 12,900 years ago, shows that major cosmic catastrophes have indeed interrupted human history. This event caused rapid climate change and mass extinctions that match flood traditions found worldwide. The Sumerian story of the Great Flood, preserved in texts like the Epic of Gilgamesh, includes technical details that suggest eyewitness observation rather than Marduk myth. The description of Utnapishtim's ark includes specific dimensions, building materials, and loading steps that show practical knowledge of shipbuilding and survival. The precision in Sumerian flood stories goes far beyond Mesopotamia, appearing in remarkably consistent accounts across more than 500 documented cultures worldwide. These traditions, spread across continents and isolated groups with no historical contact, include details so specific and so similar that they challenge normal explanations of separate myth-making. The flood stories are not vague tales of divine punishment, but detailed chronicles with technical information about water levels, time lengths, and survival strategies that suggest shared memories of real catastrophic events. In the Americas, the Hopi tradition describes a world destroyed by water after the blue star Kachina appeared in the sky. Their story says the flood lasted exactly 150 days, matching the length given in Mesopotamian sources. The Hopi described survivors hiding in hollow reeds that floated on the water's surface, a detail that parallels the Sumerian account of Utnapishtim's seal vessel. The Cherokee tradition speaks of the Nightland people who escaped the great waters by building boats sealed with pine pitch, again matching technical construction details found in cuneiform tablets. Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime stories from the Bundjalung people describe the Great Flood of Narrabeen, which happened when the rainbow serpent stirred the waters and drowned the ancient world. Their oral traditions say the waters rose for 7 days and 7 nights, then stayed at their highest level for an additional period before slowly going down. These time markers match flood timelines recorded in ancient texts from cultures that had no contact with Australian people until modern times. The Maasai of East Africa preserve stories of Tumbo, the great flood that destroyed the First World. Their tradition says Tumbo warned one righteous man to build a boat and bring animals aboard before the waters covered the highest mountains. The Maasai account includes specific details about building the boat with acacia wood and animal skins, materials common in their environment, but also matching the practical shipbuilding knowledge found in Mesopotamian sources. In the Pacific, isolated Polynesian cultures keep flood traditions that are older than their arrival on their current islands. The Tahitian account describes the god Teera, causing the waters to rise until only the highest peak stayed above the surface. Their tradition says the flood happened during a time when the stars danced differently in the sky, suggesting astronomical disturbances that came with the flooding. Similar accounts from Hawaii, Samoa, and New Zealand include the same references to unusual sky events happening at the same time as the flood. This consistency extends to specific technical details, suggesting these stories preserve memories of the same event rather than separate cultural inventions. Many traditions describe the flood beginning with strange animal behavior, including birds flying in confused patterns and domestic animals showing extreme agitation. The Lakota tradition mentions buffalo herds moving in circles, while Mesopotamian texts describe similar confusion among livestock before the waters rose. Many flood accounts say the catastrophe happened during a particular season, most often what would match late spring or early summer in the northern hemisphere. The Aztec tradition places the flood during the time of growing corn, while Celtic accounts describe it happening when oak leaves were full. This seasonal consistency across different hemispheres suggests the global event happened during a specific time of year, when certain astronomical conditions were present. The geological record gives strong evidence supporting these traditions through documentation of the Younger Dryas period, a major climate event that happened between 12,900 and 11,700 years ago. This period was one of the fastest and most severe climate changes in Earth's recent history. It was marked by a sudden return to Ice Age conditions after a warming trend that had lasted several thousand years. The speed of the change was unprecedented, with temperatures dropping as much as 15 degrees centigrade in some places within just decades. Ice core data from Greenland shows the Younger Dryas began abruptly, with evidence suggesting the climate change happened within a single human generation. The grip ice core shows a dramatic change in the atmosphere, including higher dust, volcanic ash, and unusual chemical signatures showing massive environmental disruption. Similar evidence from Antarctic ice cores shows the climate change was global, affecting both hemispheres at the same time. The period matches the extinction of many megafauna species across multiple continents, including mammoths, giant ground sloths, cave bears, and saber-toothed cats. The extinction pattern shows strong timing agreement, with species disappearing in a narrow window matching the start of the Younger Dryas. This mass extinction eliminated about 75% of large mammal species in North America, and large percentages on other continents. Recent research has identified evidence of a cosmic impact event that may have triggered the Younger Dryas climate change. The impact hypothesis, supported by findings of nanodiamonds, iridium anomalies, and shock quartz in sediment layers dated to 12,900 years ago, suggests the comet or asteroid impact caused massive environmental disruption. Impact markers have been found across North America, Europe, and Asia, pointing to a global catastrophe of unprecedented scale. The Younger Dryas boundary layer has unusual amounts of platinum, a metal rare in Earth's crust, but common in space objects. This platinum spike appears in sediment cores from places as far apart as Greenland, Mexico, and Belgium, giving strong evidence for a cosmic impact origin. The pattern suggests the object was a comet that broke apart in Earth's atmosphere, creating multiple impact sites across the northern hemisphere. Carbon spherules found in Younger Dryas sediments show exposure to temperatures above 2,200 degrees centigrade, consistent with impact-caused fires that could have burned across huge areas. These tiny particles contain trapped gases with isotopic signatures matching those in impact craters, adding more evidence for the cosmic catastrophe idea. The spherules appear in amounts suggesting continent-scale wildfires burned for long periods. The impact would have created massive tsunamis, as fragments hit ocean areas, producing waves hundreds of meters high that could have traveled thousands of kilometers inland. Computer modeling of possible impact scenarios shows a fragmented comet hitting the North Atlantic could have produced tsunamis capable of flooding coastal areas across multiple continents. These waves would have carried sea sediments far inland, and evidence of that has been found in geological layers matching the Younger Dryas. Underwater archaeology provides real evidence that advanced civilizations existed in areas now underwater because of rising seas. The ancient city of Dwarka, described in Hindu texts as Krishna's capital, has been found off the coast of Gujarat, India, at depths of up to 40 meters. Marine archaeological surveys have found massive stone structures, including walls, gates, and what look like harbor facilities built from precisely fitted megalithic blocks. The Dwarka ruins cover several square kilometers of seafloor, showing a city of major size and complexity. Underwater excavations have recovered artifacts including pottery tools and architectural pieces that match descriptions in the Mahabharata and other ancient texts. Carbon dating of organic material found in the structures shows construction spanning several millennia, with the oldest parts dating to about 9,000 years ago. The building techniques seen at underwater Dwarka show sophisticated engineering, including interlocking stone joints designed to withstand earthquakes and tidal forces. The harbor facilities include what look like docking areas made for large ships, suggesting the city supported major sea trade. The size and complexity of these underwater ruins challenge standard timelines of city development in the Indian subcontinent. Near the Japanese island of Yonaguni, underwater surveys have documented massive stone structures that appear to show clear evidence of human construction. The Yonaguni monument includes step pyramids, terrace platforms, and what look like ceremonial pools carved from solid bedrock. The structures cover about 60 by 50 meters and reach depths of 25 meters below today's sea level. The geometric precision includes right angles, straight edges, and parallel surfaces that would be extremely unlikely from natural geology alone. Tool marks visible on the stone surfaces suggest cutting and carving, and the overall layout suggests deliberate architectural planning. The structures include features that look like staircases, corridors, and ceremonial chambers arranged in complex patterns. Dating the Yonaguni monument is difficult because it is underwater, but geological evidence suggests the area was above sea level during the last ice age, when ocean levels were about 120 meters lower than today. The structures would have gone underwater as sea levels rose after the ice age ended, placing their construction between 12,000 and 10,000 years ago. This timing places the monument's creation during or soon after the Younger Dryas period. Underwater surveys have identified many submerged settlements along coasts that were exposed when sea levels were lower. Off the coast of Alexandria, Egypt, marine archaeologists have found remains of ancient pharaohs, including massive stone blocks, columns, and statues that once were part of a famous lighthouse. These ruins extend beyond the known historical boundaries of the ancient city, suggesting much larger urban areas existed when sea levels were lower. The submerged city of Pavlopetri off the coast of Greece is one of the most complete underwater archaeological sites ever found. The settlement includes streets, buildings, courtyards, and what appears to be a sophisticated water management system. The site covers about 30,000 square meters and includes structures dating to at least 5,000 years ago, though some parts may be much older. Pavlopetri's city layout shows remarkable sophistication, with rectangular building plots arranged along straight streets in a grid. The water system includes channels, basins, and what look like fountains or ritual pools. Preservation under Mediterranean waters protected details that would have been destroyed on land, giving rare insight into ancient urban design. Sea level changes during the last ice age created huge areas of exposed continental shelf that could have supported large populations and advanced civilizations. At the peak of the last glaciation about 20,000 years ago, global sea levels were 100 to 140 meters lower than today. This exposed land bridges between continents and created wide coastal plains now underwater. The Bering Land Bridge between Asia and North America was larger than modern Alaska and stayed exposed for thousands of years. This region, known as Beringia, supported rich ecosystems and could have hosted large human populations. Archaeological evidence from both sides of the current Bering Strait suggests sophisticated cultures existed in this region before it went underwater. In Southeast Asia, the Sunda Shelf connected the Indonesian archipelago, Malaysia, and parts of Thailand as one landmass. This exposed area covered more than 1.8 million square kilometers and included major river systems supporting complex ecosystems. The flooding of this region would have displaced millions of people and destroyed archaeological evidence of any advanced civilizations that may have developed there. The Persian Gulf was fully exposed during the last ice age, forming a large river valley fed by the combined waters of the Tigris, Euphrates, Karen, and other rivers. This fertile valley would have been ideal for farming development and city civilization. The gradual flooding as sea levels rose could explain flood traditions in Mesopotamian cultures as memories of real events rather than invented myths. The flooding of these vast continental shelves was more than a geological change. It marked the end of astronomical ages that ancient civilizations tracked with mathematical precision that rivals modern calculations. Survivors of these submerged worlds carried knowledge of sky mechanics so advanced that it challenges what we think prehistoric humans could do. This knowledge centered on the precession of the equinoxes, a phenomenon that needs continuous observation across many generations to detect, and centuries more to calculate accurately. Precession happens because Earth wobbles on its axis like a slowly spinning top, causing the North Star's position to change over time and shifting which zodiac constellation appears behind the Sun during the spring equinox. This movement follows a precise cycle lasting 25,920 years, known to ancient astronomers as the Great Year. The Sumerians divided this cycle into 12 ages of 2,160 years each, matching the 12 zodiac constellations the equinox point moves through during the full precession cycle. The mathematical precision needed to calculate these periods shows astronomical knowledge that supposedly did not exist in ancient times. The Sumerian number system, based on multiples of 60, contains built-in calculations revealing their understanding of precession mechanics. Their sacred number 432,000 equals exactly 200 precession cycles when multiplied by 60. Their flood timeline of 432,000 years before the deluge suggests they tracked multiple great years as units of cosmic time. This same number appears in Hindu cosmology as the length of the Kali Yuga, the current age of darkness lasting 432,000 years. The Mahabharata describes this period as the last phase of a cosmic cycle that includes 3 earlier yugas, totaling 4,320,000 years, exactly 10 times the precession period. The precision of these calculations suggests ancient Hindu astronomers had the same advanced understanding of sky mechanics found in Mesopotamian sources. The Great Pyramid of Giza encodes precession knowledge in its basic measurements with accuracy that modern astronomy did not reach until precision instruments were invented. The pyramid's base perimeter of 921.45 meters, divided by its height of 146.59 meters, gives the constant pi to several decimal places. More importantly, the ratio of the base perimeter to the height, multiplied by 43,200, equals Earth's polar radius, with 99.9% accuracy. The number 43,200 is exactly on the 6 of the precession cycle in years, showing the pyramid's builders understood both precession and Earth's size. The pyramids' inner passages line up with star positions visible during specific precession ages, suggesting the structure was designed as a three-dimensional star map, storing astronomical knowledge for future civilizations to find. The pyramid's grand gallery points toward Orion during the time the structure is said to have been built. Computer modeling shows the alignment was perfect around 10,500 BC, during a different precession age. This date matches the Sphinx's stellar alignment and suggests the Giza complex was designed using sky configurations that existed thousands of years before standard dating places its construction. The precision of these alignments required knowledge of stellar proper motion, the slow movement of stars across the sky over thousands of years. Ancient astronomers would have needed to account for these tiny changes to create alignments that stayed accurate across multiple precession cycles. The fact that the Giza monuments include such calculations suggests their builders had astronomical knowledge comparable to modern astrophysics. Stonehenge shows an equally advanced understanding of precession mechanics through multiple building phases spanning several millennia. Its earliest parts date to about 3100 BC, but its final form was completed around 1600 BC, suggesting ongoing sky observation and improvement across 40 generations. The different stone circles and alignments track different star positions matching different precession eras. The heel stone's alignment with the summer solstice sunrise has shifted over time because of precession, but computer analysis shows it was placed to keep its astronomical purpose across multiple ages. The builders expected precession changes and made adjustments to preserve the site's alignments for thousands of years. This long-term planning required math models of precession that were not officially discovered until Hipparchus in the 2nd century BC. The station stones form a rectangle whose proportions encode the site's latitude and Earth's axial tilt angle. These values change over precession cycles because of Earth's wobble, yet the stones reflect average values that stay stable across the whole 25,920-year cycle. This mathematical sophistication suggests the designers understood precession as a full system, not just its visible effects. New discoveries of Stonehenge show the site was constantly changed and realigned throughout its long use. Different building phases match different precession ages, with each generation adjusting the monument to keep its astronomical rules. This pattern suggests knowledge of precession was preserved and passed across cultures for over 15 centuries. Angkor Wat in Cambodia may be the most advanced architectural encoding of precessional knowledge ever built. The temple complex covers more than 400 acres and has over 1,000 buildings arranged by astronomical rules matching Hindu cosmic order. The central temple's 5 towers represent Mount Meru, the cosmic axis the universe revolves around. The surrounding galleries and courtyards map the sky world onto Earth's space, and the measurements encode multiple astronomical cycles with mathematical precision comparable to modern calculations. The central tower stands 65 meters high, and the distance from the western entrance to the central shrine measures 1,728 meters, exactly 4 times 432, the basic precession number. The total east-west axis is 1,025 meters, while the north-south axis is 802 meters, ratios that encode relationships between astronomical cycles. Angkor Wat's bas-reliefs show the churning of the cosmic ocean, a Hindu creation story about gods and demons working together to pull the elixir of immortality from the primordial waters. The relief shows 92 demons on the south side and 88 gods on the north side, totaling 180 figures, representing the number of degrees in a semicircle. This astronomical symbolism continues throughout the temple, with architectural elements repeatedly encoding sky mechanics and cosmic cycles. The temple's orientation is slightly off to east-west, matching the spring equinox sunrise during the Angkor period. However, the offset follows a pattern that accounts for precession changes, suggesting the builders designed it to keep its astronomical meaning across multiple ages. The complex includes smaller temples aligned with different star positions, creating a full astronomical observatory hidden inside a religious monument. The Mayan calendar system shows the most advanced understanding of cyclical time in any ancient civilization, using multiple interlocking cycles that track astronomical events over huge time spans. The Mayan long count measures time from a creation date matching August 11, 3114 BC in the Gregorian calendar, marking the start of the current cosmic cycle that ended on December 21, 2012 AD. This 5,125-year period is exactly on a fifth of the precession cycle, showing Mayan awareness of the Great Year. The Mayan calendar combines multiple cycles, including the 260-day sacred calendar, the 365-day solar year, and longer cycles measuring Venus, eclipses, and planetary conjunctions. The calendar round combines the sacred and solar calendars into a 52-year cycle that repeats 1,872 times during the full long count period. These math relationships show knowledge of sky mechanics that required continuous observation across many centuries. Mayan astronomical texts describe celestial movement with accuracy Europe did not achieve until telescopes were developed. The Erzin Codex includes eclipse tables that correctly predict lunar and solar eclipses for centuries. Its Venus tables track the planet's synodic cycle with accuracy within hours over long periods. These calculations require math knowledge comparable to modern celestial mechanics. The Mayan idea of cyclical time goes beyond astronomy into a philosophical understanding of cosmic order. Their creation stories describe multiple earlier worlds destroyed and recreated, each lasting complete calendar cycles. The current world is described as the fourth or fifth creation depending on the source, with each earlier world ending in catastrophic destruction that wiped out its inhabitants and reset cosmic time. This cyclical worldview appears in Hindu cosmology through yugas, vast ages repeating endlessly as the universe cycles through creation, preservation, and destruction. The 4 yugas Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali span 4,320,000 years total, exactly 1,000 times the precession cycle. Each yuga represents a stage of cosmic evolution, with human awareness and technological ability declining from the golden Satya Yuga to the dark Kali Yuga. The Puranas describe these cycles with mathematical precision, showing advanced astronomical knowledge. The Satya Yuga lasts 1,728,000 years, exactly 4 times 432,000. The Treta Yuga lasts 1,296,000 years, 3 times the basic period. The Dwapara Yuga lasts 864,000 years, twice 432,000, and the Kali Yuga completes the cycle with 432,000 years. These proportions follow the ratios 43:21, encoding harmonic relationships found throughout ancient astronomical systems. Hindu texts describe transitions between yugas as times of catastrophic change, when the old world is destroyed for cosmic renewal. These transitions happen when specific astronomical configurations line up, especially when multiple planetary cycles align with precession changes. The descriptions mention changes in Earth's axial tilt, changes in the length of the year, and shifts in star positions matching precession effects. The idea of as above, so below, central to ancient astronomy, reflects the belief that sky cycles directly influence Earth events and human consciousness. This Hermetic axiom, preserved in texts credited to Hermes Trismegistus, describes the connection between the large cosmos and the small human world. Ancient astronomers noticed that changes in sky patterns matched changes in human civilization, leading to complex astrology systems to track these links. The Mesopotamian Enuma Annual, a large collection of astronomical omens, records thousands of links between sky events and Earth events. These texts record observations over centuries, noting how eclipses, planetary alignments, and star positions match political changes, natural disasters, and cultural shifts. The precision suggests systematic observation and recording, treating astronomy and astrology as one science. Ancient Egyptian texts describe the influence of star cycles on human consciousness through the idea of stellar souls that incarnate during specific astronomical eras. The pyramid texts describe the pharaoh's soul traveling through star regions matching different precession ages, with each age bringing different spiritual qualities and levels of cosmic awareness. These texts suggest ancient Egyptians saw precession cycles as eras of changing spiritual influence on human development. The Chinese idea of the mandate of heaven links dynasty changes to astronomical cycles, with new dynasties rising when sky configurations show a shift in cosmic order. Chinese records document links between major political changes and specific sky events, including supernovae, comets, and planetary conjunctions occurring at regular intervals, matching precession subcycles. Archaeological evidence from megalithic sites worldwide shows ancient cultures built monuments specifically to track precession changes and their effects on civilization. Britain's stone circles, France's dolmens, and Malta's megalithic temples include alignments that shift over precession periods, suggesting they were observatories for watching cosmic cycles and their earth effects. The accuracy of these ancient systems suggests knowledge of sky mechanics was far more advanced in prehistoric times than standard archaeology accepts. The mathematical sophistication needed to calculate these cycles correctly requires continuous observation across many generations and recording systems able to preserve sky data across centuries. The mathematical sophistication needed to calculate these cycles correctly requires continuous observation across many generations and recording systems able to preserve sky data across centuries. This level of achievement becomes even more confusing when compared with physical artifacts showing engineering skills supposedly beyond ancient civilizations. These objects, often dismissed by mainstream archaeology as oddities or misunderstandings, provide real evidence that prehistoric cultures had knowledge and manufacturing techniques that challenge standard timelines of human technological development. The Antikythera mechanism is perhaps the strongest example of advanced ancient technology. Found in 1901 by sponge divers exploring a Roman shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera, the device, dated to about 100 BC, includes at least 37 bronze gears arranged in a complex mechanical computer capable of calculating astronomical positions and predicting eclipses decades ahead. The sophistication of this analog computer was not matched in Europe until astronomical clocks in the 14th century AD, creating a technological gap of nearly 1,400 years. X-ray tomography and CT scanning have revealed the mechanism's internal structure in amazing detail, showing gear trains with tooth counts matching astronomical cycles known to ancient Greek astronomers. The main gear has 223 teeth matching the Saros cycle used for eclipse prediction, while other gears track the movements of the Sun, Moon, and known planets through the zodiac. The device includes differential gearing, a mechanical idea not officially reinvented until the 16th century, showing ancient craftsmen understood complex mechanical engineering concepts. The mechanism's bronze gears show precision manufacturing requiring advanced tools and math knowledge. The gear teeth are cut with even spacing and consistent shapes that allow smooth motion and accurate calculations. This precision requires measuring tools able to divide circles into hundreds of equal parts and cutting tools able to hold tolerances within tiny fractions of a millimeter. The metallurgy needed to make bronze alloys with the required strength and corrosion resistance shows advanced knowledge of metal composition and heat treatment. Inscriptions on the mechanism's fragments mention astronomical phenomena and calendar systems, showing broad understanding of sky mechanics. The text references the Metonic cycle, a 19-year period sensing solar and lunar calendars, and the Ecliptic cycle, a 76-year refinement improving astronomical accuracy. The device builds these cycles into mechanical calculations, creating a portable astronomical computer that could predict sky events with accuracy comparable to modern ephemeris tables. The technological sophistication of the Antikythera mechanism suggests it was the result of a long tradition of mechanical engineering, not a one-time invention. The complexity of its gear trains and the precision of its astronomical calculations suggest similar devices existed in the Hellenistic world, even though none have survived. The creators had both the theory to design it and the practical skills to manufacture it, suggesting widespread technological abilities later lost. In Baghdad, excavations in the 1930s found clay jars containing copper cylinders and iron rods that show characteristics consistent with galvanic cells. These artifacts, dated from about 250 BC to 250 AD, are ceramic vessels sealed with bitumen and containing copper tubes with iron cores. When filled with acidic liquids, these setups produce about 1.1 volts, leading researchers to suggest they worked as ancient batteries for electroplating or other electrical uses. The Baghdad battery jars show evidence of intentional construction, not accidental chemistry. The copper cylinders fit precisely inside the ceramic vessels, with iron rods placed to avoid touching the copper while keeping electrical continuity through the liquid. The bitumen seals prevent leaks and contamination, showing understanding of the chemical needs for sustained electricity. Multiple examples were found at different Mesopotamian sites, suggesting they were made in quantities, not as experiments. Analysis of metal artifacts near the battery sites shows evidence of electroplating that would require electrical current. Silver-plated copper objects and gold-plated jewelry show even coating thickness and strong adhesion consistent with electrochemical deposition, not mechanical coating. The quality matches results from modern electroplating, suggesting ancient craftspeople understood electrical metal deposition. Similar galvanic devices found around the ancient world suggest electrical technology was more common than once thought. Artifacts resembling the Baghdad batteries have been found in Egypt, India, and other regions with advanced metalwork, suggesting knowledge of electrochemistry traveled along ancient trade routes. The consistency of design across distant regions suggests a shared technological tradition, not separate invention. Precision-cut megalithic structures worldwide show stoneworking skills that challenge explanations based on simple tools and manual labor. At Pumapunku in Bolivia, massive andesite blocks up to 130 tons show evidence of cutting, drilling, and shaping with millimeter-level accuracy. The surfaces are perfectly flat across several meters, with edges cut at exact right angles and corners finished to sharp points that would challenge modern stone-cutting equipment. The blocks at Pumapunku have complex interlocking joints fitting without mortar binders. These include shaped clamps, dovetail joints, and tongue groove assemblies showing advanced understanding of structural engineering. The precision needed demands measuring tools able to stay accurate across large stone faces, and cutting tools able to remove material without cracking or uneven surfaces. Drill holes in the Pumapunku stones show signs of tubular drill bits, not solid boring tools. The holes keep uniform diameters and straight sides deep into the stone without tapering. The method seems to have removed material in a spiral, leaving clear tool marks on the hole walls. This drilling needs rotation speeds and cutting pressure hard to achieve with hand-powered tools. Moving and placing these huge blocks adds more challenges that standard archaeology struggles to explain. The nearest andesite source is about 90 kilometers away across high terrain over 4,000 meters above sea level. Moving 130-ton blocks that far would need engineering similar to modern heavy construction, including load-bearing roads and lifting devices, able to place stones with millimeter precision. At Sacsayhuman in Peru, limestone blocks up to 200 tons fit so tightly that a knife blade cannot fit between them. The stones show shaping methods creating complex 3D puzzle fits with many contact surfaces per block. Each block connects through irregular but perfectly matching surfaces that spread weight and resist earthquakes. The construction of Sacsayhuman shows understanding of earthquake-resistant design not formally recognized until the 20th century. The interlocking arrangement lets the structure flex during quakes without falling apart, while the irregular joints prevent straight failure lines that could cause collapse. This sophisticated seismic design suggests deep knowledge of structural dynamics and earthquake engineering. Tool marks on the Sacsayhuman stone suggest cutting tools able to remove large amounts of stone quickly and accurately. Some surfaces show final polishing that created mirror-like reflectivity, suggesting advanced stoneworking beyond basic building needs. Such finishes require abrasives and polishing compounds supposedly unavailable to pre-Columbian cultures. The Assyrian at Abydos in Egypt contains granite blocks up to 100 tons, showing precision cutting and fitting similar to South American sites. The blocks have perfectly straight edges, smooth faces, and exact rectangle corners showing advanced stonework. The construction method uses massive blocks without mortar, relying entirely on precision fit and gravity for stability. Analysis of Assyrian granite surfaces shows tool marks suggesting cutting tools harder than granite. The marks resemble those from diamond or corundum cutting edges, materials not officially available to ancient Egyptian craftsmen in standard timelines. The uniform tool marks across large areas suggest mechanical cutting devices, not hand tools. The Assyrians' design includes engineering principles showing advanced hydrostatics and fluid dynamics. It has channels and chambers designed to control water flow and keep specific water levels. The precision needed requires surveying and math, supposedly developed much later. Ancient maps preserved in medieval collections show geographic knowledge that supposedly predates exploration and mapping of remote regions by centuries or millennia. The Piri Reis map, made in 1513 by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis, shows South America and Antarctica with accuracy not achieved by European mapmakers until the 18th and 19th centuries. The map includes details of Antarctica's coastline under the ice sheet, features not officially discovered until the 20th century. Piri Reis said his sources came from ancient charts, including maps used by Christopher Columbus, and older documents from the time of Alexander the Great. The accuracy of South America's coastline, including correct placement of the Falkland Islands and accurate river mouths and coastal features, suggests the sources came from real exploration and surveying, not guesswork or art. The Antarctic part shows the coastline as it would look without ice, including mountain ranges and coastal features confirmed by modern seismic surveys under the ice. The map shows Antarctica connected to South America, a configuration that last existed about 6,000 years ago, before the Drake Passage formed. This suggests the original Antarctica mapping happened when the continent may have been less icy and reachable to ancient sailors. The Orontius Phineas map of 1531 also shows Antarctica as a separate landmass with accurate proportions and features. It includes interior details like mountain ranges and rivers matching subglacial topography revealed by modern ice-penetrating radar. The accuracy suggests original mapmakers had access when it was not ice-covered. The Mercator map of 1569 shows Antarctica divided by waterways matching subglacial channels discovered by modern Antarctic research. These channels, hidden under kilometers of ice, form natural boundaries dividing the continent into regions. The map's depiction suggests its creators had Antarctic knowledge not officially rediscovered until late 20th century satellite surveys. The Buch map of 1754 shows Antarctica as two landmasses split by a waterway matching the Transantarctic Mountains, a feature dividing East and West Antarctica not officially recognized until geophysical surveys in the 1950s mapped bedrock under the ice. The accuracy suggests access to ancient exploration sources. These maps' accuracy goes beyond Antarctica, including precise depictions of other features supposedly unknown to medieval mapmakers. The Piri-Reis map shows correct longitude for South American coastal features, which requires precise timekeeping tools not available until 18th century marine chronometers. This suggests its ancient sources used navigation methods more advanced than those officially available in medieval times. Evidence challenging standard timelines keeps appearing in excavations worldwide. Much of it gets limited attention from mainstream academics. But researchers like Cremo have documented thousands of artifacts showing technological ability and artistic skill, supposedly beyond prehistoric cultures. These collections include precisely carved stone objects, metal artifacts, and sculptures that challenge accepted timelines of human technological development. Stone spheres found in Costa Rica, ranging from centimeters to over 2 meters wide, show precision manufacturing producing nearly perfect spheres. The largest, weighing up to 15 tons, keeps spherical accuracy within just a few millimeters across their full surface. Creating them would require advanced measuring tools and stoneworking, able to maintain uniform curvature across complex 3D surfaces. The Costa Rican spheres also show advanced planning and math knowledge, and how they were originally placed. Surveys showed they were arranged in geometric patterns aligning with astronomical phenomena, and using relationships like the golden ratio and pi. Positioning these massive objects would need surveying accurate across kilometers. Metal artifacts found worldwide show metallurgical knowledge supposedly unavailable to ancient cultures. Iron objects in Egyptian tombs dated to 3000 BC show advanced smelting and alloy composition not rediscovered until the Industrial Age. These include iron beads with nickel content indicating meteoric origin, suggesting ancient metalworkers could tell the difference between earth iron and space iron. The London hammer, found embedded in Ordovician limestone dated to 400 million years ago, is a timeline anomaly challenging standard dating methods. It is an iron hammerhead, with a wooden handle, showing advanced metallurgy, including a steel composition with trace elements not found in modern steel production. Its position in undisturbed limestone suggests either major errors in geology dating or advanced technology in prehistoric times. Similar out-of-place artifacts keep appearing worldwide, including machined metal objects, precision-cut gemstones, and sculptures showing artistic and technical abilities, beyond what is credited to their supposed time periods. These finds are often dismissed as contamination or misidentification, but together they suggest human technological development may have followed a more complex path than standard archaeology accepts. Similar out-of-place artifacts keep appearing worldwide, including machined metal objects, precision-cut gemstones, and sculptures showing artistic and technical abilities, beyond what is credited to their supposed time periods. These finds are often dismissed as contamination or misidentification, but together they suggest human technological development may have followed a more complex path than standard archaeology accepts. This complexity becomes even clearer when looking at how often the number 7 appears across ancient cultures, especially when describing repeating destruction and renewal of civilizations. The sacred meaning of 7 appears with striking consistency across cultures with no known contact, suggesting either separate discovery of natural patterns or the preservation of ancient knowledge through oral tradition. In Mesopotamian cosmology, the 7 heavens represent different levels of sky reality, each ruled by planetary deities influencing Earth events through repeating patterns. The Babylonian creation epic Enuma Elish describes 7 generations of gods ruling successive cosmic ages, with each generation showing a different phase of the universe, developing toward its current form. Ancient Egyptian texts mention 7 souls of Ra, incarnating in different eras, each bringing different qualities of consciousness and technological ability to human civilization. The pyramid texts describe the pharaoh's journey through 7 star regions, matching different precession ages, with each region representing a specific level of cosmic awareness humans can reach during certain astronomical times. These 7 stellar souls are linked to the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, whose position relative to the celestial pole changes throughout the 25,920-year precession cycle. Hebrew tradition preserves the idea of 7 cosmic ages through sabbatical cycles in Leviticus, where every 7th year is a time of rest and renewal, mirroring larger cosmic patterns. The Jubilee cycle of 7 times 7 years makes a 49-year period that, when multiplied by certain factors, matches precession subcycles known to ancient astronomers. Jewish mystical texts describe 7 heavens and 7 earths, representing levels of reality accessible to human consciousness during specific cosmic times. Greek philosophy included 7-fold divisions of cosmic order, especially in Orphic mysteries, describing 7 stages of soul development tied to planetary influence. Orphic hymns mention 7 cosmic ages ruled by different planetary deities, each lasting about 2,160 years, exactly on a twelfth of the precession cycle. These ages were believed to shape human consciousness and technological development, with some times favoring spiritual growth and others favoring material progress. Celtic tradition preserves references to 7 invasions of Ireland, each representing a stage of human development and matching distinct archaeological periods. The Liber Gabala Aaron describes these invasions as happening at regular intervals that, when calculated using the text's internal timeline, align with major climate and cultural changes in the archaeological record. Each invasion brings new technologies and spiritual practices that replace or add to those of earlier inhabitants. Roman historians recorded 7 ages of human development, from Saturn's Golden Age through declines ending in the current Iron Age. This framework, preserved by Ovid and other writers, describes each age as lasting set durations matching astronomical cycles. The Roman calculations include knowledge of precession mechanics not officially rediscovered until much later, suggesting access to older astronomical traditions. Hindu cosmology presents the most mathematically advanced 7-fold cyclical time through 7 root races, each representing a phase of human evolution lasting millions of years. The PNAS describes these root races as groups of humans that came one after another. Each group developed different bodies, mental abilities, and spiritual awareness, based on space influences that change over very long time periods. Each root race lives on Earth for about an seventh of a kalpa, which is a period lasting 4.32 billion years that matches specific space patterns. The first root race, according to Hindu texts, was made up of spirit-like beings who existed in a purely spiritual state without physical bodies. These beings had a direct connection to cosmic consciousness, but lacked the physical experience needed for complete spiritual growth. The Vishnu Purana describes this race as existing during a time when Earth itself was in a more spirit-like state during the early stages of how the planet was formed, when physical matter had not yet become as solid as it is now. The second root race developed astral bodies that allowed limited interaction with physical matter, while keeping their connection to spiritual realms. Hindu texts describe these beings as living in a world where the lines between physical and spiritual reality were more blurred than they are now. The Bhagavata Purana places this race during a time when Earth's axis had a different tilt, creating weather conditions that no longer exist, and allowing forms of life that cannot survive under current space patterns. The third root race achieved full physical bodies, while keeping psychic abilities that let them directly see spiritual realities. The Mahabharata describes these beings as giants who had natural telepathic communication, and could move matter through mental focus. Evidence of huge stone construction worldwide may be leftovers from this race's technology, which worked through ideas that combined physical engineering with psychic control of gravity and electromagnetic forces. The fourth root race, according to Hindu timeline, matches the Atlantean civilization described in Plato's writings and mentioned in flood stories worldwide. This race developed advanced technology that worked through crystal-based energy systems and achieved mastery over flying through the air and building underwater. The Puranas described the destruction of this race through cosmic disasters that changed Earth's axis tilt and caused massive flooding that buried their continent-sized cities beneath rising ocean levels. The fifth root race represents current humanity, which began developing about 100,000 years ago, according to Hindu calculations that match surprisingly well with modern science's dating of anatomically modern humans. This race is known for rational thinking and material technology, but has lost most of the psychic abilities that previous races had. The current phase of the fifth root race matches the Kali Yuga, a period of spiritual darkness that began in 3102 BC and will continue for another 427,000 years. The sixth and seventh root races exist as possibilities, representing future stages of human development that will appear as cosmic conditions change throughout the remaining parts of the current Kalpa. Hindu texts describe these races as developing stronger spiritual abilities, while going beyond the material limits that hold back current humanity. The change between races happens slowly over thousands of years, with advanced individuals from the incoming race being born among the declining population of the previous race to guide evolutionary development. The mathematical precision of Hindu timeline becomes clear when looking at the connections between root race periods and space cycles. Each root race lasts about 617 million years, a period that matches specific galaxy orbit patterns and solar system movements through different regions of space. Breaking these periods into smaller cycles creates a layered system of time measurement that tracks space influences across multiple scales, from precession cycles lasting 25,920 years to galaxy rotations spanning hundreds of millions of years. Theosophical teachings, as developed by Helena Blavatsky in the late 1800s, tried to combine ancient knowledge of root races with emerging scientific understanding of human evolution and geological timescales. Blavatsky claimed access to ancient manuscripts called the Stanzas of Zion, which supposedly preserved the original teachings about human development and cosmic cycles. These texts, according to Blavatsky, were put together by ancient masters who had direct knowledge of human evolutionary history and the cosmic forces that guide planetary development. The Stanzas of Zion describe the creation of groups of humans one after another in language that combines spiritual ideas with what appear to be references to actual historical events. The texts speak of lords of flame who guided early human development, sons of fire mists who built the first civilizations, and kings of light who ruled during golden ages when humanity had both spiritual wisdom and advanced technology. These descriptions match traditions found in cultures worldwide that mention advanced beings who taught primitive humans the skills of civilization. Blavatsky's interpretation of the stanzas includes detailed descriptions of the physical features and abilities of each root race, based on her claimed access to ancient records kept in hidden libraries throughout Asia. According to her story, the first root race lived in the imperishable sacred land near the North Pole, during a time when Earth's climate was uniformly tropical, due to different axis tilt. The second race lived on the Hyperborean continent in northern Asia, while the third race lived on the continent of Lemuria in the Pacific Ocean. The fourth root race, according to theosophical teachings, developed the advanced Atlantean civilization that achieved mastery over natural forces through a combination of spiritual development and technological innovation. Blavatsky described Atlantean technology as working through control of what she called thougit, a cosmic force that modern physics might recognize as electromagnetic energy, working according to principles not yet understood by conventional science. The destruction of Atlantis happened through misuse of these forces, creating disastrous changes in Earth's magnetic field and axis stability. The accuracy of some theosophical descriptions has been partly confirmed by later archaeological discoveries, particularly about the existence of advanced prehistoric civilizations and evidence of cyclical disasters that destroyed previous cultures. The theosophical timeline places the destruction of Atlantis at about 850,000 years ago, followed by a series of smaller disasters, ending in the final submersion around 9600 BC. This later date matches closely with Plato's account and aligns with geological evidence of massive flooding at the end of the last ice age. Theosophical teachings describe the change between root races as happening through gradual migration and mixing, rather than sudden replacement, a process that creates mixed populations, having features of both incoming and declining races. This evolutionary process explains the diversity of human physical types and mental abilities observed throughout history, with different populations representing various stages in the change between root races. The teaching suggests that current humanity includes individuals from late 4th race, early 5th race, and even some advanced souls from the incoming 6th race. The concept of overlapping root races provides a framework for understanding strange archaeological evidence that doesn't fit conventional timelines of human development. Advanced artifacts and sophisticated ancient technologies might represent achievements of 4th race survivors or early 6th race incarnations, rather than impossible out-of-place objects. This perspective suggests that human development follows cyclical rather than straight-line patterns, with periods of advancement alternating with phases of decline, according to cosmic influences that work on time scales far longer than recorded history. Native American prophecies preserve detailed knowledge of previous worlds and cyclical destruction that aligns remarkably well with both Hindu cosmology and geological evidence of catastrophic events. Hopi traditions describe the current world as the fourth world, with 3 previous worlds having been destroyed when their people became corrupted and lost connection to spiritual principles. Each world destruction happened through different ways: fire, ice, and flood that match actual catastrophic events documented in the geological record. The Hopi creation story describes the first world as a time when humans and animals could talk directly to each other, and all beings lived in harmony with natural forces. This world was destroyed by fire when its people became materialistic and forgot their spiritual responsibilities. The description of worldwide fire matches evidence of massive volcanic activity and asteroid impacts that happened during various periods of Earth's history, particularly the late Permian extinction event that killed 90% of marine species about 252 million years ago. The Second World, according to Hopi tradition, was destroyed by ice when Earth froze over and became uninhabitable except in a few protected areas. This account matches evidence of multiple ice ages throughout Earth's history, particularly the severe ice events that happened during the Proterozoic era, when ice sheets reached equator areas. The Hopi described survivors taking shelter in underground chambers and coming out when the ice retreated, a survival strategy that archaeological evidence suggests was actually used by human populations during ice periods. The Third World ended in flood when Earth was covered by water, and only those who escaped in boats or found shelter on high mountains survived to populate the current world. This destruction matches the massive flooding that happened at the end of the last ice age, when rising sea levels submerged vast areas of continental shelf that had been lived on during periods of lower ocean levels. The Hopi timeline places this flood at about 12,000 years ago, matching the date of the Younger Dryas climate event and associated flooding. Hopi prophecies describe the current Fourth World as nearing its end, with the destruction to come through purification by fire that will remove those who have lost connection to natural and spiritual laws. The prophecies include specific signs that will come before this destruction, including the appearance of the blue star Kachina in the sky, the development of transportation that moves without touching the ground, and the creation of artificial beings that think like humans. Many Hopi elders believe these signs have already appeared and that the current world change is beginning. The Hopi prophecy includes references to the fifth world that will appear after the current destruction, describing it as a time when surviving humans will live in harmony with natural forces and have spiritual abilities that have been lost during the current world cycle. This future world matches the six root race described in Hindu and Theosophical teachings, suggesting that Native American prophecies preserve the same ancient knowledge of cyclical human development found in Asian traditions. Other Native American tribes preserve similar stories of previous worlds and cyclical destruction, with differences that provide additional details about how world changes happen. The Cherokee tradition describes 7 previous worlds, each lasting about 1,000 years, and ending through different forms of disaster. The Aztec tradition mentions 5 previous suns or world ages, with the current 5th sun destined for destruction by earthquake, and the appearance of a new world order. The mathematical precision of these Native American timelines becomes clear when their time periods are compared to space cycles and geological evidence of catastrophic events. The Cherokee calculation of 1,000-year world periods creates a 7,000-year cycle that matches specific climate changes, documented in ice core data and tree-ring records. The Aztec calculation of 5 world ages totaling about 26,000 years matches the length of the precessional cycle, suggesting that Native American traditions preserve the same space knowledge found in Old World cultures. The consistency of these cyclical traditions across cultures separated by vast distances and having no historical contact suggests either independent recognition of natural patterns or preservation of ancient knowledge through oral transmission spanning thousands of years. The mathematical relationships between the various timeline systems show sophisticated understanding of space cycles and their connection with catastrophic events that periodically reshape human civilization. Geological evidence increasingly supports the reality of cyclical disasters that could explain the destruction of previous civilizations and the periodic reset of human technological development. The discovery of impact craters, volcanic ash layers, and tsunami deposits at regular intervals throughout the geological record shows that catastrophic events happen frequently enough to disrupt cultural continuity and force surviving populations to rebuild from primitive conditions. The Toba supervolcano eruption about 74,000 years ago created a volcanic winter that reduced global human population to perhaps 10,000 individuals, creating a genetic bottleneck that explains the limited diversity of modern human DNA. This event shows how single catastrophic events can wipe out advanced civilizations and force surviving populations to restart cultural development from basic survival needs. The Toba supervolcano eruption about 74,000 years ago created a volcanic winter that reduced global human population to perhaps 10,000 individuals, creating a genetic bottleneck that explains the limited diversity of modern human DNA. This event shows how single catastrophic events can wipe out advanced civilizations and force surviving populations to restart cultural development from basic survival needs. Yet despite these periodic resets, certain knowledge appears to have survived through carefully guarded institutions that appeared in the earliest historical periods, suggesting that some groups successfully preserved pieces of ancient wisdom through the dark ages that followed each civilizational collapse. The mystery schools of ancient Egypt represent perhaps the most sophisticated system for preserving and passing down advanced knowledge across thousands of years. The Temple of Edfu contains inscriptions describing the builder texts, ancient records that supposedly documented the construction techniques, and space knowledge used by the original people of Egypt, called the followers of Horus. These texts, carved into temple walls during the Ptolemaic period, claim to preserve information from the first time, when divine beings established the foundations of Egyptian civilization, following a great disaster that destroyed the previous world. The Edfu texts describe the rebuilding of sacred sites, according to ancient plans preserved from before the flood, including detailed specifications for temple orientations, proportions, and ritual functions. The inscriptions reference the sacred mounds where the original knowledge was preserved, describing underground chambers containing scrolls and artifacts from the previous civilization. These chambers, according to the texts, were sealed and hidden to protect their contents from future disasters, with access restricted to initiated priests who maintained the ancient traditions. The priests of Heliopolis developed elaborate initiation systems designed to gradually reveal space and mathematical knowledge to candidates who showed both intellectual ability and moral character. The initiation process required decades of study, beginning with basic mathematics and astronomy, before moving on to advanced calculations involving precessional cycles and stellar alignments. Initiates learned to use sophisticated instruments for space observation, including devices for measuring star positions and calculating eclipse cycles, that wouldn't be matched by European astronomy until the Renaissance. The temple schools taught what they called the sacred science, a unified system that combined astronomy, mathematics, architecture, medicine, and spiritual development into a complete understanding of cosmic order. This knowledge was encoded in temple architecture, with building proportions and decorative elements, serving as three-dimensional textbooks that preserved mathematical relationships and space data. The Great Pyramid's internal chambers contain shafts aligned with specific stars that would have been visible at different times, creating a stellar calendar that tracks precessional changes across thousands of years. Egyptian medical papyri reveals surgical techniques and pharmaceutical knowledge that shows sophisticated understanding of human anatomy and biochemistry. The Edwin Smith Papyrus describes brain surgery procedures, including trepanation techniques that show knowledge of skull anatomy and sterile surgical methods. The Ebers Papyrus contains over 700 medical prescriptions using plant and mineral compounds that modern pharmacology recognizes as effective treatments for the conditions they were intended to address. The preservation of this medical knowledge through temple schools shows that Egyptian priests maintained detailed anatomical studies based on systematic dissection and experimentation. The mummification process provided opportunities for studying internal organ structure and function, leading to medical knowledge that was far more advanced than typically credited to ancient civilizations. Temple inscriptions reference the House of Life institutions where this medical research was done, describing them as centers of learning that combine practical training with theoretical study. The Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece represent another sophisticated system for preserving and passing down ancient knowledge, though their focus emphasized spiritual development rather than technical knowledge. The mysteries were conducted at Eleusis near Athens for nearly 2,000 years, from about 1450 BC to 392 AD, making them one of the longest-running educational institutions in human history. The rituals were designed to give initiates direct experience of spiritual realities that complemented the intellectual knowledge preserved in other mystery schools. The Eleusinian initiation process involved 3 stages: the lesser mysteries held in spring, the greater mysteries conducted in autumn, and the highest level called Apoptia, reserved for those who had completed multiple cycles of initiation. Each stage revealed different aspects of cosmic knowledge, with the final initiation providing what ancient sources describe as direct vision of divine realities that transformed the initiate's understanding of life and death. The mysteries were so effective in producing this transformation that virtually every major Greek philosopher and political leader sought initiation, including Plato, Aristotle, Cicero, and Marcus Aurelius. The secrecy around the Eleusinian mysteries was kept so well that despite thousands of initiates over nearly 2,000 years, no detailed account of the inner teachings has survived. This level of security shows sophisticated methods for ensuring loyalty and discretion among participants, suggesting that the mysteries preserved knowledge considered too dangerous or powerful for public revelation. The few fragments that have survived hint at teachings about the cyclical nature of existence, the survival of consciousness after death, and humanity's role in cosmic evolution. Archaeological evidence from Eleusis reveals sophisticated architectural features designed to create specific psychological and physical effects during the initiation ceremonies. The telesterion, the main initiation hall, was built with acoustic properties that amplified certain frequencies while quieting others, creating sound environments that could induce altered states of consciousness. The building's orientation aligned with space events that happened during the mystery celebrations, connecting cosmic cycles into the initiation experience. The Orphic mysteries, closely related to the Eleusinian tradition, preserve detailed cosmological teachings that describe the cyclical destruction and renewal of the universe. Orphic texts describe multiple cosmic ages ruled by different divine principles, with each age ending in catastrophic destruction, followed by renewal under new cosmic conditions. These teachings included mathematical calculations of cosmic cycles that align with precessional periods and other space events, suggesting that the Orphic tradition preserved ancient knowledge of celestial mechanics. The Orphic creation myth describes the universe coming from a cosmic egg that contains all potential forms of existence. This egg is periodically destroyed and recreated through the interaction of opposing cosmic forces, creating cycles of manifestation that span vast periods of time. The myth includes specific numbers and time periods that match space calculations, showing that Orphic teachings encoded scientific knowledge within mythological stories. The Pythagorean schools combined mathematical instruction with spiritual development, teaching that numerical relationships govern both cosmic order and human consciousness. Pythagorean students learned advanced mathematics, including geometric principles that wouldn't be rediscovered until the Renaissance, along with acoustic theory that explained the mathematical basis of musical harmony. The Pythagorean concept of the music of the spheres described planetary motions in terms of mathematical ratios that create cosmic harmonies, a teaching that anticipated modern understanding of orbital resonances and gravitational wave events. Pythagorean initiation involved progressive revelation of mathematical secrets, beginning with basic arithmetic and geometry, before advancing to complex calculations involving irrational numbers and infinite series. The most advanced students learn what Pythagoreans called the sacred tetractys, a triangular arrangement of 10 points that encoded fundamental mathematical relationships, including the ratios that govern musical intervals, planetary orbits, and precessional cycles. The Mesopotamian mystery schools centered around temples dedicated to Marduk, Nabu, and other deities, preserved the space knowledge that enabled Babylonian astronomers to predict eclipses and planetary positions with remarkable accuracy. These institutions maintained continuous observations of celestial events for over 1,000 years, creating space records that tracked long-term cycles invisible to casual observation. The temple schools developed mathematical techniques for calculating planetary positions that remained unsurpassed until the work of Kepler in the 17th century. Babylonian astronomical texts described the use of sophisticated instruments for measuring star positions and tracking planetary motions. These instruments included devices for measuring angles with precision comparable to modern surveying equipment, along with timing mechanisms that could track celestial movements across multiple years. The accuracy of Babylonian astronomical calculations required mathematical techniques that weren't officially rediscovered until the development of modern calculus. The preservation of this space knowledge through temple schools shows that Mesopotamian priests understood the practical importance of keeping accurate calendars and predicting celestial events. The economic and political stability of Mesopotamian civilization depended on farming planning that required precise knowledge of seasonal cycles, while the prediction of eclipses and other space events gave priests political influence that helped maintain their institutional authority. Esoteric traditions throughout history have consistently claimed that their teachings come from ancient civilizations that had advanced knowledge before being destroyed in global disasters. The Hermetic tradition, attributed to the legendary Hermes Trismegistus, describes itself as preserving wisdom from antediluvian times, when humanity had direct knowledge of cosmic principles. Hermetic texts describe advanced civilizations that achieved mastery over natural forces, through understanding of what they call the universal principles that govern matter and energy. The Corpus Hermeticum contains detailed descriptions of Atlantean civilization that align remarkably well with Plato's account, while providing additional technical details about Atlantean technology and social organization. According to Hermetic sources, the Atlanteans developed crystal-based energy systems that could control gravitational and electromagnetic forces, enabling them to build massive stone structures and achieve aerial navigation. The destruction of Atlantis happened when this technology was misused for war, creating resonance effects that destabilized Earth's crust and caused massive geological upheavals. Hermetic teachings describe the survivors of Atlantis as establishing mystery schools in Egypt, Greece, and other locations to preserve fragments of their advanced knowledge. These schools developed symbolic systems for encoding technical information within mythological stories, ensuring that the knowledge could survive periods of cultural decline, while remaining accessible to future initiates who had the keys for interpretation. The Rosicrucian tradition emerged in medieval Europe, claiming access to ancient manuscripts that preserved knowledge from both Atlantis and Lemuria, the Pacific civilization that supposedly came before Atlantis. Rosicrucian texts describe Lemuria as a civilization that achieved spiritual development without corresponding technological advancement, leading to its destruction when cosmic conditions changed and required different survival strategies. The Lemurian survivors supposedly migrated to various locations worldwide, establishing the shamanic traditions that preserve knowledge of consciousness manipulation and psychic development. Rosicrucian teachings include detailed descriptions of Lemurian society, describing a civilization where telepathic communication was normal, and individuals had natural abilities to see spiritual realities. The destruction of Lemuria happened through gradual submersion as the Pacific Ocean expanded, forcing the people to adapt to more material conditions that required technological development for survival. According to Rosicrucian sources, the change from Lemurian to Atlantean civilization represents humanity's shift from primarily spiritual to primarily material consciousness. The Knights Templar emerged during the Crusades as a military order that claimed discovery of ancient documents and artifacts beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. These discoveries supposedly included scrolls from the original Temple of Solomon that contained architectural knowledge and spiritual teachings from even earlier sources. The rapid rise of the Templars from a small military order to Europe's most powerful financial institution suggests they had knowledge or resources that provided significant economic advantages. Templar architecture shows sophisticated understanding of geometric principles and space alignments that weren't common in medieval European construction. Templar churches and preceptories include proportional systems based on sacred geometry that create specific acoustic and energetic effects within the buildings. The round churches built by the Templars follow architectural principles found in ancient temples worldwide, suggesting access to traditional knowledge of sacred architecture. The sudden suppression of the Templars in 1307 by King Philip IV of France happened shortly after they had begun construction of a massive cathedral complex that would have rivaled any structure in Europe. The unfinished Templar Cathedral at Miravet in Spain shows evidence of construction techniques that anticipate later Gothic innovations, suggesting that Templar architects had advanced structural engineering knowledge. The simultaneous arrest of Templars throughout Europe shows that their suppression was planned to prevent the completion of projects that might have revealed their hidden knowledge. The survival of Templar knowledge through other organizations becomes clear in the architectural achievements of medieval cathedral builders. These techniques show marked improvement following the Crusades. The Gothic cathedrals built during the 12th and 13th centuries show engineering abilities that seem to appear suddenly without clear developmental stages. The precision of these structures' proportional systems and their sophisticated integration of space alignments suggests that their builders had access to ancient architectural knowledge that had been preserved through Enigmatic traditions. The Masonic tradition claims direct descent from medieval stonemason guilds that preserved ancient architectural knowledge through craft secrets passed down through generations of builders. Masonic rituals reference the construction of Solomon's Temple and include detailed descriptions of architectural techniques that supposedly come from ancient sources. The symbolic systems used in Masonic teachings encode geometric principles and space knowledge that aligns with information found in ancient mystery school traditions. Masonic lodges built during the 18th and 19th centuries include architectural features that show sophisticated understanding of acoustic principles and energetic effects. These buildings often include chambers designed to create specific resonance frequencies that can induce altered states of consciousness during ritual work. The consistency of these architectural features across different geographical locations suggests that Masonic builders were following traditional principles rather than experimenting with new techniques. The influence of Masonic organizations on historical events becomes clear through the involvement of Masonic members in major political and cultural developments. The American Revolution was planned and carried out largely by Masonic leaders, including George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and numerous other founding fathers who built Masonic principles into the structure of American government. The design of Washington, D.C. follows geometric patterns that encode Masonic symbolism and space alignments, creating a capital city that functions as a massive architectural talisman. The French Revolution similarly involved extensive Masonic participation, with revolutionary leaders using Masonic organizational structures and symbolic systems to coordinate their activities. The revolutionary calendar developed during this period included space cycles and mathematical relationships that reflect Masonic understanding of cosmic principles. The architectural projects undertaken during the revolutionary period show evidence of planning based on sacred geometric principles that align with traditional Masonic knowledge. Modern esoteric organizations continue to claim guardianship of ancient wisdom, though their actual possession of authentic traditional knowledge varies considerably. The Theosophical Society, founded in 1875, claimed access to ancient manuscripts preserved in hidden libraries throughout Asia, particularly in Tibet and India. Theosophical teachings describe these libraries as containing records of human development spanning millions of years, including detailed accounts of previous civilizations and their technological achievements. The anthroposophical movement, developed by Rudolf Steiner in the early 20th century, claimed to preserve ancient knowledge through direct spiritual perception, rather than historical documents. Steiner's teachings include detailed descriptions of Atlantean and Lemurian civilizations that align with traditional esoteric accounts, while providing additional technical details about their social organization and technological abilities. Anthroposophical agriculture, architecture, and educational methods attempt to apply this ancient knowledge to modern practical applications. Contemporary researchers have identified encoded wisdom in ancient texts, architectural monuments, and artistic works that appears to preserve scientific and historical knowledge from previous civilizations. The analysis of ancient manuscripts using modern computational techniques has revealed hidden layers of meaning that encode mathematical relationships and space data within seemingly mythological stories. These discoveries suggest that ancient scribes deliberately embedded technical information within religious and literary texts to ensure its preservation through periods of cultural decline. The architectural encoding of knowledge reaches its most sophisticated expression in the Gothic cathedrals of medieval Europe, which function as three-dimensional libraries, preserving information about mathematics, astronomy, acoustics, and spiritual development. The proportional systems used in these buildings encode mathematical relationships that weren't officially rediscovered until the Renaissance, while their sculptural programs preserve symbolic systems that communicate complex philosophical and scientific concepts through visual imagery. The study of traditional arts and crafts reveals that many supposedly primitive techniques actually represent sophisticated applications of scientific principles that modern technology is only beginning to understand. Traditional metalwork techniques produced alloys with properties that modern metallurgy struggles to copy, while ancient textile production methods created fabrics with characteristics that contemporary material science cannot fully explain. These achievements suggest that traditional craftsmen had theoretical knowledge that was passed down through apprenticeship systems, designed to preserve technical secrets across generations. This preservation of ancient wisdom through practical applications provides a crucial link between lost civilizations and our current technological renaissance, suggesting that we may indeed represent the seventh iteration in humanity's cyclical development. The mathematical precision underlying ancient knowledge systems becomes particularly clear when examining the technological acceleration curve of modern civilization. Our current rate of scientific advancement follows exponential patterns that mirror the knowledge accumulation described in ancient texts about previous civilizations. The doubling of human knowledge every 12 years, a phenomenon documented since the 1950s, creates a technological path that ancient sources suggest characterized the final phases of previous civilizational cycles before their collapse and renewal. Archaeological evidence increasingly supports the existence of 6 previous technological civilizations, each achieving different levels of advancement before meeting cyclical disasters that reset human development. The Younger Dryas impact event 12,900 years ago marks the most recent major reset, destroying what appears to have been a globally connected civilization that had advanced space knowledge and sophisticated engineering abilities. The precision-cut megalithic structures found worldwide represent remnants of this 6th civilization, whose survivors established the mystery schools and esoteric traditions that preserve fragments of their knowledge through the following Dark Age. The appearance of Sumerian civilization around 3500 BC represents the beginning of our current 7th cycle, marked by the sudden appearance of advanced urban planning, mathematical systems, and space knowledge that lacks clear developmental stages. The Sumerian king lists references to antediluvian rulers with impossibly long reigns, suggests these early civilizations had extended lifespans or represented collective leadership systems that kept continuity across centuries. The mathematical relationships embedded in these timelines show that Sumerian scribes were recording actual historical periods using measurement systems inherited from the previous civilization. Modern quantum physics has begun validating ancient mystical concepts that were preserved through esoteric traditions, suggesting that these teachings represent genuine scientific knowledge, rather than primitive superstition. The quantum mechanical principle of observer effect, where consciousness influences physical reality through the act of measurement, aligns remarkably with ancient teachings about the role of awareness in shaping material existence. The Hermetic principle as above, so below finds expression in fractal mathematics and holographic theory, which show that patterns repeat across different scales of reality. The ancient concept of Akashic records, described in Hindu and Theosophical traditions as a cosmic information field containing all knowledge and experience, parallels emerging theories about information storage and quantum vacuum fluctuations. Modern physics suggests that information cannot be destroyed and may exist in field states that could theoretically be accessed through consciousness technologies that ancient civilizations might have developed. The consistent reports of psychic phenomena and remote viewing abilities in ancient texts may describe actual technologies for accessing quantum information fields. Archaeological discoveries continue to validate ancient historical accounts that were previously dismissed as mythology. The underwater ruins of Dwarka match descriptions in the Mahabharata with remarkable precision, including architectural details and urban planning features that align with the text's technical specifications. Similarly, the discovery of massive stone structures at Göbekli Tepe confirms that sophisticated construction abilities existed in prehistoric times, supporting ancient claims about advanced antediluvian civilizations. The precision of ancient astronomical calculations shows knowledge that required continuous observation spanning multiple generations, and sophisticated mathematical techniques for processing observational data. The Mayan long count calendar's accuracy in tracking Venus cycles and eclipse periods shows that Mayan astronomers had computational abilities comparable to modern ephemeris calculations. The fact that these calculations were done without mechanical computers suggests that ancient mathematicians developed mental techniques or used technologies that have been lost to modern science. The global distribution of megalithic sites with similar construction techniques and space alignments shows that prehistoric civilizations had transportation and communication technologies that enabled worldwide coordination of construction projects. The precision with which these sites track precessional cycles requires planning abilities that span multiple centuries, suggesting that ancient builders worked according to long-term cultural programs that went beyond individual lifespans. Modern scientific instruments have detected electromagnetic oddities at ancient sites that suggest these locations were chosen or modified to create specific energetic effects. Ground-penetrating radar surveys at Stonehenge have revealed underground features that appear to channel and focus electromagnetic fields, while magnetometer readings at various megalithic sites show magnetic field concentrations that differ significantly from surrounding areas. These discoveries suggest that ancient builders understood principles of electromagnetic manipulation that modern science is only beginning to explore. The accelerating pace of technological development in our current civilization follows patterns described in ancient texts about the final phases of previous cycles. The exponential growth in computing power, genetic engineering abilities, and artificial intelligence development mirrors descriptions of Atlantean technology that supposedly enabled manipulation of matter at the atomic level and creation of artificial life forms. The ancient warnings about technological hubris leading to civilizational collapse take on new relevance as modern science approaches abilities that could fundamentally change planetary conditions. Climate change patterns documented in ice core data reveal that previous civilizational collapses happened at the same time as rapid environmental changes that occurred within single human generations. The Younger Dryas cooling event, which began about 12,900 years ago, caused global temperatures to drop by up to 15 degrees centigrade within decades, creating conditions that would have made advanced civilization impossible to maintain. Similar rapid climate changes appear in the geological record at regular intervals that match space cycles, suggesting that environmental disasters follow predictable patterns related to cosmic influences. The current rate of environmental change, including rising global temperatures, ocean acidification, and biodiversity loss, follows paths that ancient texts suggest characterize the end phases of previous civilizations. The Hopi prophecies describe the current world as approaching its end through environmental destruction caused by humanity's disconnection from natural principles, while Hindu texts place the current Kali Yuga as approaching its most destructive phase before cosmic renewal begins. Genetic research has revealed that modern human populations carry DNA signatures showing multiple population bottlenecks throughout prehistory, events that reduced global human numbers to small surviving groups before populations expanded again. The most recent major bottleneck happened about 74,000 years ago, matching with the Toba supervolcano eruption, but earlier bottlenecks appear in the genetic record at intervals that align with cyclical disaster patterns described in ancient traditions. The development of artificial intelligence and genetic engineering technologies in our current civilization parallels descriptions of Atlantean achievements that supposedly included the creation of artificial beings and genetic manipulation of life forms. Ancient texts describe these technologies as contributing to the moral decay that led to Atlantean destruction, suggesting that certain technological abilities carry inherent risks that previous civilizations failed to manage successfully. Modern consciousness research has begun documenting events that ancient traditions describe as normal human abilities, including remote viewing, telepathic communication, and precognitive awareness. The systematic study of these abilities by institutions like the Stanford Research Institute has produced statistical evidence supporting their reality, while neuroscience researchers have identified brain structures and electromagnetic patterns associated with psychic functioning. These discoveries suggest that consciousness has abilities that mainstream science is only beginning to acknowledge. The ancient emphasis on spiritual development alongside technological advancement appears increasingly relevant as modern civilization deals with the ethical implications of powerful new technologies. The mystery school traditions that preserved ancient knowledge consistently taught that technological abilities must be balanced with wisdom and moral development to prevent their misuse. The current global challenges facing humanity may represent tests similar to those that previous civilizations failed to pass successfully. Archaeological evidence suggests that previous civilizations achieved technological abilities through different approaches than modern industrial methods. The precision of ancient stone cutting and the electromagnetic properties of megalithic sites show that ancient builders may have developed technologies based on consciousness interaction with matter, rather than purely mechanical manipulation. The consistent reports of levitation and matter manipulation in ancient texts may describe actual technologies that work through principles not yet understood by conventional physics. The mathematical relationships encoded in ancient monuments and texts show that previous civilizations had knowledge of cosmic cycles and their influence on human development that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. The precision with which ancient astronomers calculated precessional cycles and their connection with historical events suggests that they understood connections between cosmic influences and Earth events that could provide crucial guidance for dealing with current global challenges. The pattern of 7 civilizations described in various ancient traditions aligns with geological and space evidence, showing that major catastrophic events happen at regular intervals throughout Earth's history. The 12,000-year cycle that appears in flood traditions worldwide matches half-precessional periods when the solar system's position relative to galactic influences creates conditions helpful to environmental instability and cosmic impacts. Modern space science has identified potential sources of cyclical disasters, including comet swarms associated with the solar system's movement through the galactic plane, and periodic asteroid impacts that could trigger climate changes strong enough to destroy technological civilization. The Younger Dryas impact event provides a recent example of how cosmic disasters can rapidly change global conditions and force surviving populations to rebuild from primitive circumstances. Understanding these cyclical patterns offers both warnings and opportunities for our current civilization. The ancient knowledge preserved through esoteric traditions suggests that civilizational changes can be navigated successfully if humanity develops the wisdom to balance technological abilities with spiritual understanding and environmental harmony. The mystery schools that kept ancient knowledge through previous dark ages provide models for preserving essential information through potential future disasters. The accelerating convergence of multiple global crises, environmental damage, technological disruption, social inequality, and spiritual alienation mirrors the conditions that ancient texts describe as characterizing the end phases of previous civilizations. However, the same traditions that warn of cyclical destruction also describe the possibility of conscious evolution that could enable humanity to go beyond the limitations that destroyed previous cultures. Our current civilization's unique position as the 7th iteration provides both the accumulated wisdom of previous cycles and the technological abilities necessary to potentially break the pattern of cyclical destruction. The global communication networks and information storage systems developed during our current cycle could enable the preservation and transmission of knowledge on a scale that previous civilizations never achieved, potentially allowing future humanity to build upon our achievements rather than starting over from primitive conditions. The combination of ancient wisdom with modern scientific understanding suggests that humanity stands at a crucial threshold where the conscious integration of technological ability with spiritual development could enable our species to evolve beyond the cyclical patterns that have characterized previous civilizations. The choice between repeating the mistakes of previous cycles or consciously evolving to a higher level of development represents the fundamental challenge facing our current civilization as we approach what may be another major transition point in the long cycle of human development. The evidence presented throughout this investigation points to a deep truth that challenges conventional understanding of human history and development. We are not the first advanced civilization to appear on Earth, but rather the 7th in a series of cultures that have risen, achieved remarkable technological and spiritual heights, and faced the ultimate test of wisdom versus power. The ancient records, archaeological oddities, and cyclical patterns documented across cultures worldwide preserve the memory of these previous iterations, offering both warning and guidance for our current path. As we stand at the threshold of abilities that could either lift humanity to unprecedented heights or cause another civilizational collapse, the lessons of the previous 6 cycles become crucial for our survival and evolution. The choice before us is clear: learn from the wisdom of ages past and consciously evolve beyond the destructive patterns that have reset human development 6 times before, or repeat the cycle once again, leaving only fragments of our achievements for the 8th civilization to discover and wonder about in ages yet to come.